Okay, for this section, I think I'm going to divide it into two parts because there's an awful lot going on, and I want to make sure I cover everything in detail, especially now that you're spending probably more concentrated time with your family than you have in the past. This could be really interesting information for you. So, before we get started, what I want you to do is to draw a picture of your family. I'm going to be vague on that. So pause the video, draw the picture. No one's going to see it. We're not going to judge your artistic abilities or lack thereof. When you finish drawing, turn this back on. Okay, so what I did in this section was I have pictures of family, and they're pretty much old pictures. Except for this one, I started with a picture from my oldest sister's 50th wedding anniversary last summer. From right to left, it's my brother wearing my youngest brother wearing a headband with drinks on it. In the middle is my mom wearing a purple wig, and on the left is my mother's sister Marianne, who actually I think looks like a mafia hitman. But my oldest sister loves gadgets, so she had us all wear crazy things. I think I was wearing crazy sunglasses. Okay, so you've got your picture of the family. Another thing that you could do, and you can do this mentally rather than physically, imagine that you had everybody in your family. You put each person's name on a separate piece of paper, and then what you did was you created a mobile of that. So let's say you had your grandparents at the top, one set of grandparents, and then you had strings with your mom coming off of one set of grandparents, dad from the other, and then how everything. I don't exactly know how you do it, but just imagine that that's what you have. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So the I really like this definition of family. It's obviously it's an evolving definition, and the one that the textbook likes is it is a system with two or more interdependent people who have a common history and a present reality and who expect to influence each other in the future. It doesn't say anything about um, a marriage. It doesn't say anything that children have to be biological or adopted. It's left open. This picture are is everyone here? My kids, Pam's kids, Kat's kids. Yeah. Okay. These are the nephews and nieces of the younger five of the Yowans. And we had serious pictures, and this was the goofy picture. And this was taken probably over 10 years ago because no one's a kid anymore. Okay. So with this definition of family, do you want to revise your picture of family, or do you think you captured it? And oh my gosh, my daughter's cat's about to jump on the book and everything's going to go downhill. Okay. So we want to, similarly to friends, where we say friends are created through, it's okay, huh? Friends are created through communication. Family is also created through communication. So this picture was taken at my grandparents' 50th anniversary. They were not into crazy hats and things. That's my grandparents in the middle, and if on the right-hand side, I'm the one with the glasses, and then they're my two sisters. So this was taken in, I think, the 80s. Okay, so we want to look at the idea of family narratives. Do you remember back in chapter 4 when we were talking about perception and the idea that we all have narratives? Well, in families, narratives are really important, and think about stories that your family tells at family gatherings, or when you were growing up. Did you hear those? Oh, you have it so easy. When I was a kid, I walked to school uphill both ways in the snow, barefoot. Or what does the book say? We've been leaders in this community for decades. Or you don't want to end up like your cousin Judy, do you? Or we help each other out. We're proud of our heritage. It's impossible to be successful without a good education. Or It's our responsibility to help others less fortunate than ourselves, or even, oh, we can never get along. So every family has narratives, usually more than one. And why do we have these narratives? Well, they reinforce goals that the family shares. They teach moral values, whatever the family considers important, that's what's communicated. They stress the family concerns. They reflect how members relate to one another. You know, we can never get along. We get along really well. Or they reflect how to operate in the world. So write down as many of your family narratives as you can think of. Now, some of you, I know, Jamie, you have kids. You might be the only one. So when you think of family, you can think of the family that you grew up in, or the family in which you are the mom. And it'd be interesting to see if you have the same narratives. Or since you're spending a lot of time with your family, everyone, you can ask your parents if they can think about family narratives when they were growing up, and ask them if they're the same right now. Okay. The next one has to do with communication rituals and rules. So, what are some of the rituals that your family has? Do you always get together at your Aunt Sally's for Thanksgiving, and then you celebrate Easter or Passover at your house, and you celebrate other holidays? I mean, does it rotate? Um, what about everyday life? When I was growing up, at different times, obviously, we ate dinner as a family always, until we were in high school, and my sisters and I were running track cross country, and we got home late from practice. But other than that, I mean, we weren't there, but the rest of the family ate together. So interesting that families and step families have rules governing how we communicate with outsiders. Either certain things that as a child, maybe you said something and then your parents told you, we don't talk about that with people outside the family. I think it's really interesting where they talk about stepchildren avoid more topics with step parents than parents. Obviously, that that makes sense. I would think unless from a very young age you grew up with a step parent, and that person was just part of, like, you would include that person very central to your picture of family. Okay, what I'm going to do now, because we're going to talk about patterns of family communication, is I'm going to stop this, and because I don't want these lectures to be longer than 10 minutes. They take forever to upload. So we are going to pause this right now.